Okay, I sent you the invite.
New invite?
Yep.
New one.
Okay, I sent you the invite.
New invite?
Yep.
You all right? Is it not working?
Yes, I can hear. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? No?
No.
No?
No, you have gone silent.
Well, I muted my microphone, but we're using this one, right?
Yeah, and it's picking up. Wonder if it's because I don't have it set to playback myself. Let's just go with it.
What can you hear right now?
I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, because you turned on your mic.
I'm just going to use my mic then.
Uh,
This thing,
it's not that
always
good.
the problem.
No, mute yours quick. Hear anything?
Hold on, can you hear me now?
Yeah, because you.
Cancel.
This
thing, always the problem.
No, mute yours quick. Hear anything?
Hold on, can you hear me now?
Mute yours quick.
I know I posted there and say before.
Do you see this?
All right, let's go with it.
Do you hear anything?
I can when I'm listening in on the stream on another browser window. So it's just the playback loop. I don't have a playback loop. We're fine.
And you see this? You see that?
Yep.
No, this is a streaming connection. Verizon streaming service. It's streaming. Okay, we're gonna get started. Sorry for the delay. Technical difficulties. First, I want to thank my team in particular because I've been out for a day and a half while I was supposed to be putting this together. We put together a nice agenda for everybody. Thanks to Kathy and Matt, Jenna, and Jamie will be joining us. So thanks. To the WiscWeb team for doing that. There's Jamie. We have Save a Seat for you right here, guest of honor. So we're going to go through a couple of new processes, as well as have Jamie demo the new hero carousel. When we say new, it's just it's going to replace the old one, and we're going to discuss kind of how that will work. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. Matt will be monitoring chat, so if anybody in chat is listening and has any questions, feel free to. Matt, why do you roll your eyes? Matt will be monitoring chat. Please feel free to ask questions, and Matt will chime in with those questions when we have them. So Jenna has made a new feature request form. This is going to be the default place where we are going to ask you to send new feature requests for, is this really UW theme or really anything that a customer needs differently?
Yeah, I would say for now.
Okay. So did you say, so really anything, any sort of customization or upgrades to the UW theme?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually we'll probably be sectioning out the plugins and stuff.
Okay. So this is a form, it's on our site, so it's under the help section, the help feature requests, or you can just go to WiscWeb.swb/feature-requests. Okay. And this will allow you to add on our site a feature to our list. We are working internally on a development cycle process. So allow you to use these feature requests in the near future. Once that is set up, we're not ready to share that process yet. But the idea being that we will have, these will be the inputs for our software development cycle. We will take these feature requests, put them into sprints, put them into test for you to test, and then put them into. Again, we don't have the full details of that yet. But this is one of the first pieces. So I guess one other point that I'll bring up is that this is going to be sort of a gathering place for right now. High priority ones may get implemented quickly, but these may sit for a little bit until we get that internal process worked out. Does anybody want to add anything to my brief description? Good. Okay, so this will be, again, sort of the default place we will want you to enter those. So if you're if a feature is not working the way you would like it to, this is where you'll fill it out, and then we will start, work with you to figure out how we're going to process that. Next, Kathy has created a page that is not linked anywhere yet, but will be, and it is the plugin review process. So if you go to wiscweb.west.edu/plugin-review-process, this document is covered there, and Kathy will be going over that right now.
So first off, it's draft. We're in the process of reviewing it as a team just to make sure that we've incorporated everything that we want to in the process. But it talks about what the objective is, why we have the review process, what we're trying to achieve. Further down the page, it talks about the criteria that we'll use to evaluate plugins that are submitted to us. And then what happens once we've evaluated it, where we go, we move it through production. There's also a link on this page further down that talks about, that will allow you to go to a Google Doc that has a list of the plugins that we're evaluating, the ones that have been submitted. This will be out probably next week. We're pretty close to finalizing it. What I'd like you to do next week, though, is once this is out, take a look at that Google Doc and see if the plugin that you may have actually there. I went through all of my emails. I went through everything I could find, but I really feel like I'm missing some things that people have told us about. And so if it is not there, there is a plugin request form that is also linked off of this page. Just submit the request form and we'll get it in. On the Google Docs page, you'll notice that there are a feature summary, and you'll see that summary is at 2 or 3 different times with 2 or 3 different plugins related to the same summary, the same functionality. What that means is that we know the functionality is important. It's been submitted by a number of different people. We'll evaluate which is the best route to go based on our criteria. I think it's we use content on multiple pages, but update in one place. You'll see there's 3 items there for that. On the plugin request form, we are asking you for a feature summary, a feature description, what the name of the plugin is, and where the plugin site is, so we don't have to go hunting for it, to make sure we're looking at exactly the plugin we have found, and then we'll start taking a look at the different criteria. Criteria is, does it break the UW theme, or does it work with UW theme? Is it widely used in the WordPress community? If you submit a plugin that's got 2 users and hasn't been updated since 1995, it's probably not a good candidate. Are updated on a regular basis, so they work with the latest version of WordPress, or it's well documented, so we know it's not 2 teenage girls sitting in their bedroom trying to do WordPress stuff. We can support, and then we'll grow with us. And like I said, there's a variety of criteria that's listed on there. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't look at things that you submit that maybe don't have 100,000 users, because maybe they just don't. Maybe the best one only has 9,000 users or 5,000 users. But we do want to go for the broadest use. If you look at this list and say, oh, they've already got it, what I'm looking for, maybe submit it again anyway. We don't have a really good way right now to tally votes for plugins that people want. So just go ahead and submit it. And as soon as we figure out the plugin that will allow us to tally those votes, we'll put it out there, but we don't have it there yet. Okay? Any questions on it? If once we put this out, if you have questions on the process or you have concerns about what we're implementing, just tell us. And we'd like this to be interactive with you all, just so long as we are able to support it. We'll be happy to make changes or updates or take feedback on it. Okay.
Ryan, were there 2 forms then? There's a feature request form and a plugin request form.
Correct.
And the feature request form is, I want to do this, but I have no idea if there's anything else that does it. And the plugin request form is, I know specifically that this plugin does what I want.
Exactly.
You hit it on the, nail on the head. Feature requests would be more of a wider net. And then we would look into whether we would have our developers enhance the UW theme, create a child theme for you. Perhaps they go, hey, a plugin we know of does what you want, and then it becomes a plugin request. Whereas a plugin request is something you specifically know about that is a plugin that you've used in the past.
Or that you've heard about, or that, you know.
So yeah, the good news is that these are all going to kind of wide net, all filter to the same point. So it's just different information to gather at different ones. So don't feel like it's a critical decision which one you choose over the other, because we'll gather the information from you if we need more. Okay, any questions? Any other questions? All right, I am going to then have Jamie take over the Google Hangout. Matt, can you, or let you guys figure that out while I talk. And Jamie is going to be talking about some changes coming to the Hero Carousel. They have been busy working on some updates that have been requested for Carousel. I'm not actually showing the screen, so
Can you see my stuff?
see if I can.
I'm
All
presenting.
right, so this is Jamie's screen, right? All right, perfect. So we're seeing it everywhere. Technology works. And so she's going to show you the changes, how it's going to look to you, where you have to change your carousels, and then we'll have discussion also about how this generally is going to work going forward. So take it over, Jamie.
All right, so I am in a testing environment, and so for those who might be following along on your site, you will be. And so if you have any questions or concerns, you don't have to worry that this isn't currently live on your sites. This is coming. So please let me know any feedback if there's anything that we can add into it before we send it onto your sites. So to start off with, it's going to look pretty similar to the static image with an inset, but the sort of surprise twist is that now if you had one image, it's a static image. If you had 2, 3, so on, it becomes a carousel. So you really just got one element rather than choosing up front whether you're doing a static image or a carousel. You can always start with one and then turn it into a carousel at any time. The other thing that's new is there's a new layout option. So you can add this sort of like overlay with headline text. And then you have, as always, the option to do just a plain image as well. So if I go kind of under the hood, what you'll see when this shows up on your site So what you'll see is you'll see the old area, and we've put a handy red alert around it so you know not to use the old one and rather to use the new one. If you do have an old carousel, you'll see, same as always, you'll see all of your stuff in here. You'll see your images or your inset. So then you'll just have to at some point copy over and recreate that in the new hero image. You can see this is what I have up there. So there's new options. So you can add, if I add a new image, I'm presented with just a basic, I can add whatever image I want. And then it can be an image only, it can be the headline, or it can be a featured content inset. And these two look pretty much the same, except the inset lets you put that little image inside of it. Same as before, you can choose whether you pull in from an existing post or page, or if you type in your contents. So that's true for the headline, you can pull in from a page, or you can do the featured content inset and pull in from a page. So for those who maybe haven't played with this, this doesn't change, but you do have to have a page already created, and then you select whatever page you want, and it's going to pull in the excerpt, which is a little text box at the very bottom of each page that you can put some text in to describe it, and it'll also pull in the link to that page.
The excerpt we demoed last month, and it's where you go at the screen options at the top, you turn on excerpt, you get a little piece at the bottom, and that's sort of we talked about it being a reusable piece of content as you use featured content classes and other things. So we can show you how to do that if you need to again.
Yep. So this one here is pulling in from the page, so this link is gonna go to the post that's created, and it automatically creates that. The nice thing here is that that link is dynamic, so if you change the name of this page or you change something about it, you don't have to go in and change your hero as well. If you change this to add the number 2 at the end of the URL, it's gonna add it automatically here. You don't have to update your homepage when you update this post you're linking to. If you do have the other option, if you're putting in things manually and you're choosing to add a link, that you're putting just typing whatever URL, so you have to kind of keep an eye on and manage those. So these are probably best for things that are outside of your site if you're linking for something that you're not directly managing, or if there's a reason you want more fine control over what it says that you can't for some reason get with the excerpt. The other new thing is you'll see at the end I have actually a 4th hero here, and there's an option to hide it. So for those who maybe put a lot of effort into, you've got a seasonal event or something, and you don't want to have to delete those just so that they don't show up in your homepage, you can turn on this toggle that says hide or show. So this one on my homepage, you'll notice that I don't see my winter scene in the carousel. If I turn it on to show, update the page, now it adds it back into my slide. Gotcha.
Do you have a recommendation for how many images for the carousel?
In terms of displaying as few as possible, in terms of storing, we haven't really tested out what kind of impact it's going to have on the performance of your site. So I would still be sort of cautious with that and really think about, is this something I'm going to reuse in the near future or periodically that it makes sense to hang on to. There's really not, it's a little bit of text and some images. So if you find yourself with, 10 plus heroes kind of waiting in the wings and hidden, you might want to do some spring cleaning and clear some of those out. You can always recreate them later. But for those who maybe have like every spring, we make the same exact announcement and you don't want to recreate it, you don't want to have to store it somewhere. This might be a good example of just put it in there, have your seasonal announcement, and then you just turn it on and off as you need it.
I love that feature.
How do show and hide and number of images affect page load times?
So the ones you're hiding aren't being loaded on the page, so it shouldn't impact your page load time. This is still a web interface on the back end of things, so potentially it could start to bog things down, but it's at least not displaying when it loads on the page.
In the KB for this, does it state what's the width and height for the inset and the carousel?
I believe Ryan has made some nice documentation around the carousel image, so that's 1600 by 500. We obviously have to update some of the KB documentation to reflect these new changes.
Right.
So if anything like that is not in there, that'll be put in. The other sort of minor change to the inset is it used to have a fixed dimension, and now it sort of it has a maximum height so that you can't, you can't put something 2,000 pixels tall and have your inset text like halfway down the page. But it's not set by a hard crop. So if you have something that's 200 pixels wide and 50 pixels tall, you're going to get a really skinny image up here in your inset. So the maximum height is, if I remember offhand, I think it's like 173 pixels, and we'll put that in there. It just keeps you from getting a little too tall, and this is maximum 500 pixels tall, the whole hero carousel. So we've set a constraint, so if you upload a really tall image, you're not gonna hide your text in the part that gets cut off.
So yeah, it is in both the KB document as well as the WiscWeb site.
And it tells the image inset as well.
I don't know if it has the inset.
Yeah, I think with the new one, we can add in that there's a maximum height, but you can basically do whatever dimension you want for the inset.
Oh, you can?
Yep.
Oh, but there's a maximum.
Yep.
That's helpful.
Yeah, so it'll go 100% of the width, And then it'll max out at somewhere around 170 pixels.
So we'll update the inset piece when we go live with the new feature. And so at this point, so there, if it wasn't obvious, so what'll happen is there'll be an update at some point in the future, and you will get the existing hero area with that alert over it, along with the new hero content area. Anyone who has hero content entered in the old one will have a period of time to switch it to the new one. And when we do the next update, the old content area will go away. So if you had anything in there that you did not change, that hero content will be wiped out from your pages. What is a reasonable amount of time for you guys to do that work?
I don't have any, so.
That's one of the questions we had for you. I can propose
Couple weeks?
6 weeks, something like that. Because so there's the 1 to 2 week vacation that someone may take. So we want to do more than that. So 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We're internally have a 6 week release cycle, so it might be something like 4 to 6 weeks. Seem reasonable. If you're using dozens of carousels, I guess that might be more work for you. But theoretically, you probably only have a few of these on your site. Okay.
Can you show the alert message again?
Yes. Let me switch over to your screens.
So what you'll see, and so I'll add a few in here. So let's say you had an existing carousel. You would still see all of the images you had. They would all show up exactly as they have been. And what it does is, if you have this and you don't have anything entered in the new one, it'll continue to show the old one. So you won't have a moment until we actually remove the old carousel. You won't have a moment where it's like, oh, it's gone. Everyone fair warning about that, oh, it's gone moment. But if there's an old carousel, that'll continue to display. As soon as you add a new one, it ignores this old one. So you could technically have them both exist at the same time. So if you need time to sort of look at them both side by side, or if you want to move them over gradually, you can do that however you'd like. But once you have a new one, it ignores the old one and displays it. But if you do have, even with the new styling changes, your old carousels will continue to display the way they always have.
The other thing that we're working on is trying to figure out a way in the database where we can identify who is using the hero carousel as is now, or who is using the hero image now. And so we can start checking on people to make sure that the updates are being made, that ones haven't gotten missed, that you won't have that, oh my goodness moment. We haven't quite figured out how to do that yet, but we're working on it.
And if push comes to shove, if we end up with sort of a crisis scenario, none of this data is going away. What we're really removing is what displays it. So we created, we sort of made a choice not to overwrite the old carousel. So it's an entirely different grouping of information in your database. So your old carousel will still exist in the database. So, if someone is on a 2-month vacation and comes back and is like, where did my carousel go? We can at recovering if needed, but it just won't show up in the admin area, so you'd need to reach out to us to help you find that.
Yeah, I think as part of what we're trying to offer going forward with this, as well as some of the background work we're doing on release cycles, to be more proactive with you about what's coming and giving you a chance to see, use it and test it before it goes live. Give you these periods of time so that something just doesn't, not that we've done this in the past, but just so that something just doesn't abruptly show up one day and you're like, what's this? Or something abruptly doesn't go away one day. And so that what we demo in these meetings actually shows up very soon after when you see it, rather than months or longer.
One other sort of smaller thing that you might want to take note of, we did adjust so that as you drop down responsive, the inset stays over the image a little bit longer. Oh. That's weird. Maybe.
Or is it on Ryan's?
No, it's on.
Are you seeing the screen adjust on yours? Wait,
But Ryan's has a green strip across the top, Jamie's
No.
does not.
it's weird.
Oh, I think you're screen sharing.
I'm screen sharing
Me.
per screen. And I'm seeing the mouse move. I don't know why it's not changing. If you're not seeing it on the screen, trust us, this screen is totally going in and out.
You're missing something.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not working. That's
That's
very
weird. It's
strange.
not, it's because I'm watching it here. It's not working here. That's weird.
Anyway, so yeah, we're just demoing the inset stays on as you adjust the screen size for, I don't know, about tablet size or a little less than tablet size.
So you just, the main change that might be is you might want to, I guess, for those in the room at least, I'll sort of turn so you can see in a small way.
Look,
Oh, there we go.
it's doing it.
It's taking this time. So it will stay on the screen, or on the, over the image for longer than it used to. It used to be maybe like around here, it would drop down below.
Okay, you're gonna have to turn your computer again, because apparently it only works
So there.
when it's facing this way.
It's like there's a delay. It's pretty-
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So for those who maybe are selecting images to use with the inset, you just might want to watch that, you know, don't put a person right in the very far right, because their face might be covered by your inset. So maybe select things that have all of the image-based things over to the left, or use the headline option where it goes, the text is on the left.
Well, I feel like if you drag it fast, the screen doesn't actually capture it, so it just, like, I think you were going short, big, and then the screen never saw it go short, it just stayed on big. Interesting. All right, any questions about the hero content area?
So if you want to be able to link from the image you have up, do you need to use the inset or the headline? You couldn't just have the image, right?
Correct, yeah, you have to have some sort of text, one of the two text-based options. Those are the ones that can link. And they do require, if you're putting a link, you do have to put some sort of descriptive text so that people are aware of what they're getting when they click on the link.
Okay. And did you say, is there like do you have a date in mind with this?
I think we're still settling on that. Relatively soon, it'll be in sort of a testing area where you can see a version of your site that's not live and take a look and see if your site, if everything looks okay. And then at some point after that, dates to be determined, we'll send it live for everyone.
Thank you.
But that was what Ryan was mentioning. We're
Yeah.
trying to establish sort of a regular schedule so that you can always kind of on your calendar every so many weeks, the live site will be updated with the latest. And that a few weeks before that will tell you what's going to be happening on that day.
Right, so one of the goals out of this is, I was finding that as we were getting feature requests, it was difficult to sort of track them, prioritize them, determine what was a feature request, what could we fix. And so we started this internal process, which I'm very excited about. I think our team is kind of too, to get, rather than sort of a request come in and then we give you a week estimate, and then sometimes it gets done in a week and sometimes it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where we have a much more regular, we can tell you when something is going to be done and get prioritized. Demo it at the brown bag, get it into test in a regular sort of cycle, so that you have a couple weeks to look at it and test it and determine if there's any issues, and then push it live. I think it follows a much more sort of industry standard that way, and allows us to back out of things that maybe aren't ready. We put in tested, we think are ready, and we find all sorts of problems with. So we can delay changes as well because of this. And hopefully we can finalize that in the next few weeks, month or so. Any other questions about the hero content area? Yes, Susan?
So they're not going to be cycling, right? Like the old UW page. So they'll be static, or they will be cycling?
They don't automatically cycle. People have to either click on the arrows or they can use these dots down here.
So I'm just thinking about, like the current UW page, every time you load it, it has a different image that comes up. So that, I don't know if that,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, you know, we have the old UW, so it's kind of passive. The user can just sit there and it'll cycle through. With this, they have to be more active to get through all the slides.
Yeah, and part of that is one issue that can happen is when you have carousels that auto advance, is it can actually be an accessibility issue.
Okay.
You at the very least, if you're gonna do that, have to give people the ability to pause it, because that constant motion can really negatively impact people. So when we were building this, because that can be a really finicky thing and really error prone, we really opted for the safe route, and we wanted something that was by default not moving, so that, you know, we knew kind of at the baseline that it was like as accessible as we could make it. So having people have the power to control that was kind of the decision there. On the current WiscWeb.edu, I think what happens is when you come back to the page, it just sort of randomly loads an image. So that's really a different style. You know, it's really not a carousel or slider at that point. It's sort of a random image. And with that sort of thing, you would lose the ability to like select a page that it links to, because when you're saying, I want to feature this, my latest blog post, you don't want it to only load a quarter of the time, you know, just for random users. So, but that might be the kind of thing, if you have a case where you need a different approach to that, that would be a great example for that form, where you could say as a feature request, and maybe that's custom development that you undertake for your site, or maybe it, you know, gets built in if it's enough of a use case, but it could go through that kind of evaluation process.
I think if I can go back and say that it's an accessibility issue, that'll, it's not me, it's other people pushing it. So I'm kind of bringing it here. So that's always really helpful to be able to say, you know, this is not accessible. We need to do things.
One other thing I want to piggyback on. So we've had a few requests of people who see something on the main UW site and ask why we don't have it in our service. And the answer to that is the main UW site is custom developed. It is not using the UW theme, the WordPress UW theme. So what you see out there is it's not one-to-one in terms of what's offered in our service. Now, if you see something out there that you do like, that is where the feature request comes in. We had a customer who really liked this eye feature over here and asked for that. This allows them to, if you want to get more information, as a little caption, it allows you to tell you who does the photo. So that is something that has gone into our feature request process, which we're still, again, determining. But if you do see something out on the main UW site that is not available to you, just, again, let us know, and we'll figure out how we're going to get that. Evaluate it, whether it's, you know, something everybody should have access to, just your site, and we'll figure out with you on it. Give you a time frame, whether it's a week, a month, several months, whatever.
With the caveat on that we have a responsibility in a partnership with UW Marketing, and there are things on the main WISC site that they don't want everybody else to have. They want the main site to be unique. And so we will work with them, and it's very possible that you could say, I want it to be exactly like this page, and they're going to come back and say, no, but you could do something this way. So it'll be more of an interaction on something. Some things like the little information button is not a big deal. But other things they may want to keep unique to the main site, and we want to be respectful of that. So that's just a little caveat there.
And there's some things that are maybe like really intricate, like on the WiscWeb.edu, they have that sort of
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Element, you know, requires a lot of precise styling, and is really, you know, you have to be really careful about exactly how many characters you're putting into it. You know, and with all of your sites, we try to build things so that you can have a lot of flexibility in the content you display. And this is something that you wouldn't really have flexibility with. So probably not a good candidate for something like that, because you'd end up, it would break, it would not look as nice, it would be really hard to maintain.
one other thing. I'll be out for, and I don't know, I'm having another kid, so I'm going to be out for some amount of time in May. A great reminder to always send requests to CMS-support. I do it, and not directly to any of us individual, in case someone goes out on paternity leave for weeks at a time, because there's a chance I will not read your email for weeks. So I would like to have your email get read. So please, reminder, send those into the list and not to the individual when possible, so that we can, someone will see your request and get to it as quickly as possible.
And we're all copied on that.
Yes, yes. So everyone sees it. So Jenna knows I'm out. She'll know us to answer it, or Kathy's gonna answer it. Or something. Okay, so with that, we can open it up to any other questions that are out there about OpenText, WordPress, web in general, life.
I think one thing that I could point out as well.
Yeah, sure.
So we have added a page for preparing for launch. So some of you have already launched, some of you are not even close, but some of you might be close. Yeah, I'll wait until these.
Oh.
That's an
Are
extra
you
fact.
taking over?
Yeah, I'll take
Okay.
over. So is that, you have me now, Matt?
No, Jamie dropped.
You see Jamie?
I'm here.
Hold on. Yeah, that was probably, because I didn't open in another tab, so busted. So. Infinitely. Jenna, I'll get it set back up again.
I guess I can screen share and pull up the site, I guess. Or you can use my computer.
So you're sharing now, Jimmy? You won't see it up there because he's not in there.
I'll share back to Jamie. Oh, yeah, there.
So
No, you can drive. Sorry. I'm so bad at it. I'll let you
I
go.
think she just.
Where are we going?
the third nav item, help, and then preparing for launch. So this document will kind of walk you through what you need to know before you launch your site. And we are requesting that you schedule the launch with us as well. We need to send that in to do a shared hosting, and it also gives us some time to prep and allows us to work with our very busy schedule, so we can kind of like prepare for it. So we really would like those to be scheduled through us rather than just like a quick email like I need to launch this afternoon. So there's a lot of information in here. When you're moving to WordPress, we will have already requested a new domain for you if you were in a subdirectory, but if for some reason you hadn't heard back from that, you could check in with that. We might need to request one. That's only if you're your subdirectory. If you have a normal third, fourth level domain, you should be just fine. Redirects, there's a couple different options in there. Testing, we kind of put that on you guys to test out your site in different browsers, on and off campus. So you'll notice that things load a lot slower when you're off campus. So you might want to just check in on that. And then desktop, tablet, and mobile. Making sure you're understanding how the content is going to portray in each one. And then final checks, looking for broken links, especially you folks who are moving from OpenText over to WordPress, because if you're just copying and pasting your content right from your OpenText site, you're going to have to be updating your links along the way, and those will break once you launch your site if you do not link them correctly. And then I'm hoping that you guys are all sending these your pages out to at least one person on your team to look over, just because oftentimes we overlook things when we look at things constantly ourselves. But just send it around. You can send that URL, that WiscWeb.edu URL, to any members of your team that you would like. And then the form is linked at the bottom there. Does anyone have any questions about launch? Is anyone ready to launch a site? Just curious. Soon, maybe.
We're aiming for July 1st.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if we should do all the rest of it first and then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And as always, at least, we would recommend two-week notice to get everything's kind of scheduled. At the very minimum, I think we need a couple days, unlike the existing OpenText service where we have a lot more control sort of, if we want to put it on our server, we can get it set up and do something in a half day if we need to. We're working with shared hosting on the environment, so there's things that and there are other things that they need, say domain requests that we know takes 2 days. So we're talking a minimum a couple days. It's just not even possible to do some sites faster than that.
I think also we just have a very busy schedule, so it helps to kind of be prepared for these requests as they come in rather than having sort of last minute and then having to move our schedule around. So that really helps us.
We know you guys all have very busy schedules too, and sometimes you get told to make a site live when you're not ready yet either. So,
And if you do need to make a site live, we do have 24 hours notice we're supposed to give. If we have to do something less than that, we can do our very best to make that accommodation for you.
Best effort.
With the understanding that if you have a lot of redirects or a lot of additional work that needs to be done, that may not be able to get in place as your site goes live. But if you give us the additional time up front, we can make sure that everything happens at the same time and it's just magical. But sometimes it may not be magical if there's other requests. So, we do request this. We're trying to make sure everything goes smoothly, but we do understand there are times when it's more important that it's live than it is if it's smooth.
Other questions? Anybody else have anything to add to that? How are the brown bags going?
The brown bags are very well attended, so.
The open labs, maybe?
The brown bags are very well attended.
Sorry, he knew exactly what I meant though. You see?
Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
The open labs are
Open labs.
The open labs are very well attended. I am kicking around the idea of adding a second one each week. So right now I have them at 1 per week, but because of the fact that they do get pretty busy, and it's sometimes just me, sometimes just myself and Jenna in there, that stretches us a bit to answer all the questions. So I may start to add additional ones a week just to make sure that we're not leaving too many people high and dry on asking questions and things of that nature. So they're going very well. So.
And the developers are down there fairly frequently too, right? No, kind of, not really.
They're there when they can be there. I don't want to. I mean, they're busy, so I don't want to throw them under the bus for any reason. They're busy, so when they can be down there, they have been there. So.
Well,
we have one this afternoon.
Right? Yeah, we do. One is 2 to 4 this afternoon.
You guys could just spend.
if you like spending this hour with us, you'll love 2 to 4.
Like I always say in the training, you can come and say not a single word to me, and just come work, and it's free time for you to do work instead of being disrupted or distracted when you are in your office. The other thing to touch on that Jen and I actually started to talk about this morning was expanding the class list that we have to just beyond the beginners class that we have. We're in talks with Dewitt Communications to do some analytics and search engine optimization stuff. Jen and I have talked often, although it's never gotten far yet, of adding additional classes for the plugins like WPDA tables and things of that nature. So we're moving ahead with those. It's just been slower rather than quicker on my end. So.
And I would say in the meantime, we'd be happy to help you out. If you were interested in learning more about what this plugin can do, please come to an open lab and we'll sit down with you and walk you through it. We just don't have a formal class on it yet.
Yeah. I would also caution with the plugins, and I'm not. The services was stood up very quickly, and the plugins were added very quickly. So, like, we sometimes get questions on some of the plugins that we don't know the answer to. Open labs.
That's been the reason why I haven't offered anything. Yeah, I just don't know what to.
Open labs are a great way because we can figure it out with you at that point. But I just did want to caution that I specifically WP data tables. We've had a couple of questions with sharing things from Google Sheets that works and then it stops working. I haven't had enough time to do significant troubleshooting into understanding if that's a good option, if something's changing and it's not a good option, or it's a good option and this is what's happening. So we're kind of in this with you in some respects as we figure some of these things out. Sarah had a question.
So if it would be better for, say, our office to have one of those separate training sessions that you talked about, what's the lead time in terms of how much time do you need to be able to?
I guess the only thing that I would want in those cases would be, let's just have a conversation so that I know
What we're looking for.
yeah, what to say, what not to say, and when to yield to you or whomever else would be in the room to direct things. But other than that, I don't need that long to,
Okay.
because it's the same training session regardless.
Right.
It's just more focused with someone else in the room to give it more focus. Okay, here's what we're going to do at our side, those types of things. Other than that, I don't need much of the time at all.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from chat, questions?
Nope. We have one comment that said it might be good to have appointments for the open lab stuff. I've thought about that as well, but that's that defeats the purpose of an open lab to an extent because it
Yeah, I think
appointment, like scheduling appointments with me or someone else during the open lab time.
I would say if you want to schedule something with us, you can do that all
Yeah.
day.
That would be
So
like
just
outside.
contact either CMS support or
one
we
of
can
us,
say,
right.
I would like some one-on-one help with X, Y, and Z. We'll schedule a time either to come out to you or have you come to us, and we'll do that so that you can work it into your schedule if the open labs are not working.
Yeah. And that's both the benefit and the drawback of the open lab is they have been very popular, which has stretched us a bit. Which is a good thing in my mind because of the fact that you all are very engaged in using it, so.
And we learn a lot from those sessions as well, from what you guys are trying, like seeing what, different ways that you've set up your site, or even just things that have been issues for you, and then we resolve them, and we know for the future, so it's been very helpful for us.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, we will hang out, but we are done about 10 minutes early. So if anyone in the room will stay till everyone's gone. Anyone on the live stream, thank you for watching, and send any questions you do have to CMS-support. We'll handle those. And then the next brown bag will be, I think it's going to be another late one. May 1st is Monday, so it'll be like the 12th or something like that. But we'll send out a notification. The newsletter idea, I guess I'll say that right here at the end. We did our first one at the end of March. We'll do another one at the end of April. Again, it's just going to highlight what updated in the service, what the last brown bag, what the next one is, anything else we want to update. We'll be sending those out monthly to the list. And those should get more and more robust as we go on because we'll be starting to add more features over the summer. So with that, have a good rest of the day, everybody.
Should you say it like that?